This is something Amy and I have been talking about with increasing frequency lately because it's in the news quite often and seems to be an idea that is starting to take hold in particular companies around the world and certainly here in the U.S. as well. And we're talking about the 4-day work week. And coming out of the pandemic, companies are starting to learn about how people worked at home and liked working at home and liked specifically not having to come in, schlep into the office and, fight traffic and all that stuff. Joining me right now to talk about this is Joel Patterson. He heads up the Vested Group, a firm that is always on the best places to work list. Good morning, Mr. Patterson. So what are your thoughts? First of all, what does the Vested Group do?
We are a technology services firm here in Dallas that works with a product called NetSuite.
And what is that?
That is what we call an ERP. It's enterprise software. So when companies are outgrowing QuickBooks or something like that, and they need something that's going to help them grow and scale, they look at a product like NetSuite, which is an Oracle product, and we do all the services around that.
All right. So how big is your group? How many people do you have working there?
We are almost 70 people right now. Most of us are in Dallas, and just like everyone else, we've spent the last couple of years figuring out what our new situation is going to be, and this 4-day work week thing has all of a sudden popped up lately. We've talked about this for years, right? This isn't anything new, but typically when we've talked about this, it's been 4 10-hour days.
Right. And
the interesting thing of the movement that's happening now is it's actually 4 8-hour days, and it's this model called 100-80-100, and they're saying that workers receive 100% of their pay for 80% of the time, but they have to commit to maintaining 100% productivity. Now that means that they got to really ask themselves, do I need to be in this meeting? Can this meeting be 30 minutes, or do I need to go into the office today? It's really trying to get them or challenge them to be more efficient with their time. Now, there's a ton of detail that has to be worked through, like hourly employees, or how do you service customers, or people that bill their time. I mean, there's a lot of devil in the details here, but there is, with what's happened the last couple of years, kind of that thought of why not? I mean, why not take a look at it and see whether or not it can make sense? Because in the labor market that we're in right now, where it's very hard to find and recruit people, this is just another differentiator that you can use to promote your business.
How do you incentivize people to really, when they're at work, really be at work and, don't waste time on social media and don't take long smoke breaks and stuff like that. And at the same time, the carrot for the incentive is, and you don't have to work as long. I mean, it seems to me it'd be very hard to find people that are going to be that dedicated to their particular tasks.
It's a difficult balance. The thought is that if you challenge people to do that, you will also be able to start measuring them based on performance and based on results, and not on the hours that they work. There's that movement's been going on for a long time, trying to really promote, hey, let's look at the activity and not just the fact that they're sitting behind their desk. Whether or not that takes place, it remains to be seen. There is data, though, starting to support this. One of the things that's interesting is Iceland, in 2015, started a program to encourage people to start working 4-day weeks. Nowadays, first of all, Iceland only has 350,000 people in it, so it's tough to draw a direct correlation to America. But 85% of Iceland now works 4-day weeks, and they report better productivity. All employees love this concept. It's when you get to the business leaders and the owners where the skepticism starts setting in, and you start thinking about, how am I going to make this work? Where it gets difficult, but Iceland is reporting good results, and it's something to at least take a look at and make sure whether it can or can't work for your business. It's certainly more than ever worth a conversation.
Talking with Joel Patterson, CEO of the Vested Group here in Dallas, and we're talking about the 4-day work week. So how would it work? I mean, do people get to choose which days they work? And if that's the case, how do you make sure that, there are situations where people need to be two different people need to be working at the same time together. How do you work all that out?
Therein lies the problem. The complexity tied to that and scheduling is the biggest thing, and figuring out how that would work independently for a company, for an industry, all that stuff remains to be seen. Now, there is an organization that started a pretty sizable pilot program at the beginning of this month where there's some large companies that are piloting 4-day work weeks. They've got mentor companies that are helping them come up with those plans. Everyone that's supporting this recognizes that there's a lot of work to be done to overcome those challenges. But I can also tell you, I was on a call with a radio station in Iowa the other day, and their rural education, at least, because that's one area I think would be tough, right, is how you take care of the kids if teachers are working 4 days and who's watching them at the off day at home.
Sure.
And there are school districts that are already doing it. So it's proven that it can work. It's just on scale, when you get more complex with the different types of businesses, we'll see. But it's an interesting topic for sure.
Well, you mentioned Iceland, and maybe there's only 350,000 people in the country, but that's a lot of people. How are they working it out? Maybe you can go to school on them.
Well, it's different for each location. The businesses manage it differently. Now, clearly, things like hourly employees, there's got to be a change in what they're paid, right? So prices are probably going to have to go up in some situations. I mean, there's those kind of things. But also think about the upside here. If you have your schedule set up to where you have a Monday off one week and maybe a Friday off the week after that, you could actually have a 2-day weekend and then a 4-day weekend and then a 2-day. You start thinking about the ways that you can schedule this so that you get even more benefit and maybe actually schedule some time to go do something on those 4 days. That's pretty appealing. And again, we talk about recruiting and the labor market right now. Those are the kind of things that can really set yourself apart from your competition.
Is it possible to do this and also to allow people to work from home?
I think that those are very intertwined. Obviously, that still goes back to whether or not you can work from home. But I think people that are working from home, this 4-day work week has even more appeal. It seems like to me it would be simpler to be able to schedule that because they're already working somewhat flexible hours. I think they're definitely going to be tied together.
But then you have even a greater problem in trying to make sure that they're working when they're supposed to be working, right?
That is the big one. It's really about coming up with and measuring them based on the results that you've set before them, and that's a tough thing to do a lot of the time. But it can be done.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting. Hey, thanks for the time this morning. I've enjoyed talking with you.
Always. Thank you.
All right. There's Joel Patterson with the Vested Group here in Dallas.